Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Market Leader Live. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you where we get strategies. We get the people who know how to get it done. And today we got someone on here by the name of Miss Peri, Shawn, who's in the building. Peri, say hello to the people if you don't mind.
Please. Hello, everyone. Great to be here with you.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, for those who are unaware and don't know who you are and what you do, if you don't mind, share with them that information. And then I got some questions, some details I want to go into about what you do once you share that information.
Awesome. All right. I'm an award-winning business author, and my book is called Sell More with Sales Coaching. I've been in the business of speaking and training using the neuroscience of leadership and sales for 20 years. I hate to admit it's been that long. And I love every moment of it. I get to work with various industries because it applies in whether it be a financial world, transportation, telecommunications, whichever. Yeah.
Okay. Now, for one, I want to give you time to retract that comment because I know you cannot be that with that amount of time in sales if you're just 25 years old. So go ahead and tell the truth and shame the devil right now. But we're gonna move forward on that. Now, Miss Peri, I want to bring this up because you've been able to assist and help a lot of people. Would you say that's true?
Yes, it's true.
Okay. Now, for those who got the wrong mindset, I want to address this because we just heard that you help people. Let's talk about those who got in their minds the 1970s suit, the used car salesman when they think about sales. Could you give them a different outlook when it comes to sales? What does sales mean to you? And let's address the elephant in the room for those who got a negative connotation when they hear the word sales.
I know exactly what you're talking about because the research shows, so it's 69% of the people think of that used car salesperson when they think of sales. And I know personally for myself, my first career, I was a high school teacher. And in doing that, when I go to social events, people would find out what I do. They go, oh, isn't that nice? And then when they now find out what I do, that I'm involved in sales, they sort of step back. So let me give you some qualification for it. I'm a believer that selling is about helping others with their buying decisions. It's not about twisting arms to slam dunk a close, but instead it's about helping others. And based on the way the neuroscience works, most people have 75% of their buying decision complete before they even speak to a salesperson. So the reality is, I don't have to manipulate somebody to buy. I just want to help them with that decision that they've already made. And in the research shows that people actually have the decision made unconsciously, and that as an individual, you don't know that you've made the decision to buy until moments later after you've actually made that decision. So for that reason, as a salesperson, the job is not about, manipulating people, but instead about helping them with that remainder 25% of the decision making.
I love that. I love that. Eloquently said by an expert when it comes to it. You're just assistant. And, and Miss Peri, I just want to bring this up. I've said this before. If I already know that I need to get my wife a vehicle, we've already researched it. I already know it. And if you have the vehicle that I'm desiring to get for my wife, why not talk to me about that and help me get what I need to get? That allows for me to sleep a lot better and feel better because, happy wife, happy life. That allows for our children to be more safe. They got a vehicle that she wants or whatnot, or if she wants something sporty or whatnot for her own personal time. So I just want those who are listening to this to understand what Miss Shawn has shared with us of the importance is that most people already know and have a desire that I want this. All you're doing is just assisting or helping, like she brought up earlier. It's not here to manipulate somebody. If I want a dishwasher, but you're looking at selling me a refrigerator, then we might look at that as a way of that you're trying to take me off track. But if I'm actually wanting something, There's nothing wrong at all helping someone get what they want. We wouldn't think of that with Miss Peri if it's someone who's looking at going to a particular university, that if you help that student get into that university, we wouldn't think about that as being sleazy or being manipulative. But at the same time, we have that idea when it comes to sales. So I got to go there because you brought it up. It's the perfect segue. That sounds like a book on its own, from teacher to sales. So please share with us the manifest destiny, how we go from teacher to sales, if you don't mind.
Some people think it's a big leap. It wasn't actually. I was a high school English teacher. I was very curious about what caused people to perform better. So I started doing all kinds of research, and I started to test and find out what would work with my classes. And my classes would end up with grade averages of 80% because of what I was doing. Then it got the attention of the government. They started giving me grants. They gave me a full-time staff member who would comb through the research literature and give me the information I was looking for. And then I started teaching other teachers and professors. And then I was teaching at these big educational conferences. And at one of those conferences, somebody from the corporate world came up to me and said, "You have no idea what you're sitting on. You must take this to the corporate world." And of course, as a career educator, I went, no. And he was very convincing. I was a little resistant. And so I said, he convinced me to do something over the summer. He said, 5 days a week, that would be perfect. We'll get you to come in. And no. I said, I'll come in 1 day a week for 6 weeks because I want to have time with my children. And at the end of the 6 weeks, they doubled their sales. And I was surprised. They were surprised. And that began a new relationship with that organization. I started because I was coaching the executive as well as training the frontline staff. And so over that school year, this was way back when cell phones were kind of big and didn't work that well. And so I'd have 3 cell phones in my car. After I finished my teaching day, I would take those 3 cell phones. It was a crazy time. And I would be coaching executives across the country for the project that they were working on in order to increase the business. And thus began a new career. The following year, I took a sabbatical and haven't looked back since. So, yeah.
That's a wonderful story. And, you shared this with us, but I want to know, because you went really from the infancy stages of you even just dipping your toe in the water for the most part, you kept educating. And so I want to watch that, because we had the same thing, and I'm sharing this with those who are listening. I want you to get this. What is the narrative that you're telling yourself? So you can be an educator, but who said that you only have to be an educator in a public school? Not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. If that's your calling, that's understanding. But you can still have a purpose or a calling to educate. But as Ms. Peri did, she did it from the classroom to the boardroom, and she's still educating. And so I want you, if you don't mind, Ms. Peri, share with the audience, what were some of the transferable skills that you utilized to be able to hop from the classroom to the boardroom?
Wow. That's a great question, by the way. I've got to tip my hat off to you for that. The skills are totally transferable, meaning that the ability to teach, for that research and the work that I did, I was nominated for the Prime Minister's Award of Teaching Excellence. And so my love of teaching still comes through loud and clear. And every time I work with a group, I'm questioning, what will help them perform better? How can I adapt myself in what I'm sharing with them based on what they know and where they're coming from? So teaching, I was also, one of the things that I discovered was, and the reason why these organizations did so well, was I was teaching them how to ask more effective questions. So, and that's what I did with the students, is I learned that the students performed better, not when I went into lecture mode, But when I actually ask them questions, and what we now know is that actually builds an individual's neural network so that they can perform better. And so it makes perfect sense that we ended up with 80% class averages. So the presentations, the development of, I was one of those, I question everything. It's just who I am. And so the materials that were given to us to teach from, sure, the literature was fine, but other things I didn't know, I questioned it. So each night I would create new material for my class for the next day. And so that same skill set of creating to adapt to help individuals. So when a client tells me they have a problem, I say, oh, give me a couple of days and I'll come back with a solution. So we stopped counting about 5 years ago. I have over 100 products to help organizations with either leadership or sales issues that they might have. And so that same skill is, that I had as a teacher to create material overnight for the next day has served me well. And I mean, the people skills of being able to have a conversation with, whether it be the leadership inside of education or with the parents as a teacher, same thing. Those skill sets of being able to have those conversations, sometimes difficult ones, are things that are helpful for me to be able to navigate conversations, because if I just stay in the place of curiosity, that thing, I find that that's the best thing to serve everyone in any circumstance, no matter what the conflict or tension might be. So
now what you just shared with us, if somebody sees some kind of shaking with the computer or whatnot, it's a nuclear alert. She's dropping value bombs on them. Miss Peri is sharing with us. Now, I want you to hear something. Some of you can replay this if you listen at another time, but you heard Miss Shawn share with us. Listening. That's the Achilles heel for most sales professionals, business owners, customer service reps, is because you're not listening. And when you are listening, you are more effective. Sales go up. Why? Because you're not looking at trying to get me something that I don't want. I told you I want a dishwasher, not a refrigerator, but you telling me, look at it. It got a light on it where you get the water at. I didn't ask you for that. And so, Miss Peri, if you don't mind, for those who are, a lot of the people who listen to this, they're entrepreneurs or they're in corporate or whatnot, or they're in sales in some capacity. So could you speak to that power of listening and the way that you can serve people better, and your production can go up, your sales can go up by listening to people?
Yes, it's huge. Actually, I backtrack a little bit on that one, because when I was a high school teacher, I was very interested in the relationship of trust between a student and a teacher. And so I did research to find out what a student would do when they trust their teacher, and what the teachers wanted their students to do more of. Guess what? It matched. But this is what was the interesting part. I asked them, what can a teacher do in order to earn that trust? I discovered that there were 50 behaviors, and there was one that came back in the 90th percentile every single time. And that behavior was listen to me. So then, as I went into the corporate world, I started doing even more research on the topic of trust, and on the trust between the leadership and the frontline team members, or the team with clients. And guess what we discovered? In order to earn trust, let's see, 50 behaviors, and the one that turned up in the 90th percentile, no matter what industry in the corporate world, was listen to me every single time. And we've done it hundreds of times. And the neat part about it, talking about listening, that if the leader listens to their team member, the team member is more willing to take on new ideas, will let the leader know what's working and what's not working when there's problems sooner. And the big kicker of it all, I love this one. They will actually treat clients better when they trust their leader and their leader listens to them. I mean, why would we not want to listen? And the nice part, it doesn't cost anything. Yeah.
Oh, I know we need to put a Cash App or Zelle or see if we can get an invoice to all of us who are listening right now. Because if you just took that advice right there that Miss Peri has shared with us, I'm telling you, you will see numbers that you never even thought was possible for you if you finally listen to people. And also be open to realizing that you don't have to rah 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 all the time. You don't have to think that you can have to have a silver tongue and that you got to out talk everyone to be productive and do the things that you need to do. If you can just pause and listen. Now, Miss Peri, I'm going to share something that we even use here. One of the things that I win all the time with a strategy call, and I'm just going to show you this is a testament to what Miss Peri just shared with us. I just want to give you some tangible steps how to use it in a real life situation. Every single person that set up something, if I'm doing a call with them or a team member is, what we'll do is thank them for scheduling the strategy call, and then we'll let them know. Now, the purpose of this call is for us to hear about what you're desiring to do and what you have in your heart to do a book. We're going to share with you some industry standards, a little bit about who we are. But the whole point of this call is to at least get you pointed in the right direction that works best for you and your family. How does that sound?
Yeah.
I'm all ears. And we shut up. Excuse me. We can't say shut up anymore. I got a teacher on here right now. We tend to be quiet, and we listen and let them tell us exactly what they want to share with us. And after that, we share. Well, okay, just like a doctor doing a diagnosis. Well, we see that you want to do this. You want it done the right way. You don't want to cut corners. We know you have some issues with this. We can address that. This is the industry. We would love to be able to serve you if it works best for you and your family. And then typically after that, they might take a day or two, or they might say, actually, just send the contract over right now. And it's just done that simple. But back before I knew the process, like what Miss Peri is sharing with us, it was that I need to talk. Well, let me tell you about how great we're the next best thing since sliced bread. We can get this done for you. We can do this for you. We work with people around the globe. We. And it's like I'm French because I'm saying the we word all the time, and it's horrible. And you know, I want you to share this too for us, Ms. Peri, if you don't mind. Were the organizations and the teams receptive of this teacher coming in and going against some of the stuff of these high dollar trainers and these consulting firms? Were they receptive of someone coming out of the lunch line sharing this with them? Because, you know, a lot of ego is in, I'm not saying all corporate situations, but there are some egos in those rooms. Why, you know, use something else with someone who we might not even see as proven? Could you talk to that as well?
I think I've been blessed in my world. I think because I stay in the question that, and I maybe I'll backtrack too, that all my business since then has been repeat and referral. And I've only started marketing this year. And so the demonstration is that because of the dynamic, and I'll give some context, I've had times, because sometimes I go into male-dominated industries. I've been in some scenarios because sometimes I'm presenting at the CEO level to a group of CEOs, or I am invited to a boardroom to look at what's going on and to analyze it and help them look at a better way to approach things. And I know sometimes when I walk in the room in a male-dominated industry, sometimes they sort of go, and particularly with my name, they think that they expect a man, right? And so when I walk into the room, I can see some eyeballs rolling, and then I get down to business and I start asking questions. And then I can see sometimes after, a minute or so of me asking a few questions, the guys look at each other and they go like this, and then they just let it go. But there's that moment until they, find out who I am and what I'm about, that happens. But as a general rule, I've been very lucky. I've been blessed. When I do go in and do my presentations, and I think about those first ones that I did where they doubled their sales that summer. In 6 weeks, I still think about it and I go, wow. Anyway, in that moment, as I was meeting with them, they were really curious about it. And I'll give you an example. What I do usually when I go in is I become them. So all the team, they'll fly in the team from all across the country, and I will become one of them, and I will get them to be one of their clients, a real client. I believe in real play rather than role play, making it up. I think it should be real. And I'm them. And many times they're in a very complex business that I don't understand. It would take me 20 years just to learn about their business to be able to do it justice. And I will sell their product to them. And they often will say, well, how can you do that when you don't know about our business? And I think of one that was end of last year. It was in an industry, highly technical. I mean, not in my values to learn that world. And here I am. There's about 40 of the sales team around the room, and they are all huddled in, listening in really carefully. And when we stopped in different moments to answer any questions, one of the fellas says, "My gosh, there's so much silence in the conversation." And I said, "What, would you expect something different?" And he said, "Yeah, I would have expected you to be doing more talking or them to be doing more talking." And I said, "Oh, my job is to listen, and my job is to give them space, because the decision is being made in their brain. It's not being made out here in the conversation. It's being made in here. So when I ask a question, I need to give them time to process, depending on where you are from, their answer, to be able to come back, because all that matters is the decision making." I think of another one that I do presentations sometimes for CEO groups, and one of these groups, the CEO, she asked me if we could have a conversation a week later, because she wanted to hire me for a large training program. And as we're having the conversation, and I'm asking her questions about her business and such, and in the middle of a conversation, she says, "Stop." And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I'm just loving this so much." She said, "I've been keeping track of the number of questions you've been asking." And I said, "Oh." And she said, "Do you want to know what the number is?" I said, "Sure." She said, "You've asked me 41 questions. And I said, "Oh, does it feel like too many?" And she said, "No, I am so loving this." They sell a very high ticket price item. And I mean, off the charts price ticket item that's very high level for huge construction projects globally. And and she says, "Can you teach my team how to ask these kind of questions, because you're so present to what's going on. You understand my business based on the questions you're asking. I want my team to be able to do that with our clients, so that our clients feel," she said, "I feel like you care. And that's what I want my clients to feel about us, is that we care about their projects." And I said, "Did it feel like an interrogation at all?" She said, "No, not at all." I said, "Shall we continue with the question?" She says, "Yes, please." So to me, the questions we ask put us in the position to listen. And I think that, those questions become the GPS, so that we can learn as much as possible. And ideally, the research that I've done, we don't want to be talking more than 4 sentences at a time with a client. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
On that note, why sales leadership retreat?
Yeah.
Miss Perry, will you be in attendance there? Will you be sharing even more than what you're sharing right now at that event for the Y Sales Network? Could you share a little bit about that?
By all means, I will be there. I will be there both on Thursday and on Friday. And I will be leading Sell More with sales coaching. So we'll be looking at, as a sales leader of a team, what is it that, how do you know that your coaching is working, and how can you measure it? We'll go over 10 ways that they can actually measure it. A lot of people have a confusion as to what sales coaching actually is. So we're going to look at that, and what can you do as a leader with regards to that? How does it differ from coaching and training, and how you can help the team to perform better? And we'll get into the nitty gritty of things. And if somebody wants to volunteer, we may even do a demonstration. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Now, Y Sales Leadership Retreat. It will be the 25th and the 26th of June. Make sure you're able to be there. For those who wear it, and I understand for safety or for precautions or whatnot, it is virtual. So you will be able to participate in the comforts of your home or your office. For those who are back, I'm in Texas, so for the most part, we're back in a lot of things. But at the same time, you can register at ysalesnetwork.com. And before we get out of here, because I want to be respectful of your time, Ms. Peri, please share with the audience. We heard how you went from the classroom to the boardroom, but also now, before we close this thing out, how did you come upon being an author? If you don't mind sharing that, when did that happen?
I've been an author of multiple books for different purposes. First, in the world of education, my book is used in several universities. And in the world of business and sales, that started first self-published, and then finally a large publishing house in 2013. That's with Wiley. And they sourced me out. They were looking for somebody who could write about sales coaching. Very few people have written about it, and someone who's had experience with large corporations and small businesses both. So they wanted that diversity.
I love what you shared there, and I want those who are listening, especially in the corporate arena, and that's why I wanted to get that from Ms. Shawn. Don't limit yourself. Be willing to take the opportunity, take the leap, take a step out of your comfort zone. We've been able to hear Miss Peri share with us how she took the opportunity, even though she was she was ducking a little bit when they was asking her to come and work those days. She was able to still keep the quality of life for her family as well, making that a priority. But even though she still tried it, but also even in the boardroom, getting out of that and also being an author. And I want to bring up the P word for the purpose. And that's what I want you to think about. The book is a tool. For those who are listening to this, utilize it. If it's something that you want to leave as an heirloom, that's a particular purpose. If it's something that you want to, share because you got a particular expertise in the area and you want to be able to be of assistance to someone, then utilize that. If you're running a nonprofit and you want to share with those who want, or could be actually those who could participate for as donations or help support what you got going on, or just get the message out about a worthy cause, then leverage that in the book form or whatnot. And whether you self-publish or whether you take on with a publishing house, just make sure that you leverage those different relationships, different times in your life, and don't put yourself in a box where you got to feel like, well, I only deal with a publishing house, or I only do self-publishing, or I can't write because I'm in corporate and I'm not a speaker. I'm not this. Just watch the narrative that you're sharing with yourself. And I love what Miss Peri brought up of the purpose of what you're doing it for. So understand there's a purpose behind what you do, and you can leverage it. Because I want Miss Peri to answer it, because I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I don't think that she wrote the books thinking in her mind that she was just going to be in Cabo with a Modelo or a margarita and receiving royalty checks for the rest of her life. I think she had more of a symbiotic approach of allow for that to be able to impact more people and create more opportunities, create the type of dialogue where she could serve more people. But I don't know, so I'm going to ask the source. What are your thoughts on that, Miss Peri?
I'm a believer that any book product that someone creates is an answer to a client's problem. And I'm a believer that books are an entry point into someone's world, not at least nonfiction for that matter. So a nonfiction book is the entry point into knowing, because you can't, a book can contain this much, what you know is this much. And so, my book is, let's say the one that Selmore was sales coaching. It's a hello, here I am, come knocking on my door and let's have a conversation. That's what the book is about. So it's part of a larger picture of, here's what I'm about. Let's have a conversation.
That's amazing. I like to share it this way. The book is the appetizer leading to the business, which is the main course.
Yes.
And a little bit of dessert on the side of those. Yeah, for those who need a little extra calories out there with the COVID-15 or 19, whatever they call it. But Miss Peri, thank you so much. If you don't mind, share it with the audience, because we know that you will be there for the Y Sales Leadership Retreat, June 25th and the 26th. All those who want to participate or register can go to the ysalesnetwork.com. I had that information there, and I have it in the show notes. But how can they connect with you, Ms. Peri, whether it's buying, purchasing a book, investing in getting a book of yours, or if it's learning more for those who might be in the business or they want to share it with their peers or the superiors about your services? How can they connect with you?
They can connect with me. My company is just coachingandSalesInstitute.com, or just look me up on LinkedIn. You can find me very easily there.
All right. And that's Peri, P-E-R-I, for those out there who are looking. I don't want you to start thinking about the Peri Steakhouse. You have the wrong spelling. You say Darren carried you to the wrong place. But Miss Peri, Shawn, thank you. I cannot wait to learn from you. I got my notes ready. I got my bags ready. I can't wait to learn from you and the host of others that will be at the Y Sales Leadership Retreat. I want to say thank you to Joyce Johnson for putting this together, of these wonderful minds. I think that we need it in a time like this, no matter where you are in the world, for you to be able to get access to people that it might be a pretty penny for that investment, but for you to be able to get these like-minded people in with their own expertise and unique experiences from across the globe in one place to pour into you, yeah. I think it's a no-brainer or whatnot. So thank you so much, Miss Peri, for coming on to Market Leader Live. Keep doing what you do. We love what you're doing out in this world, making a change.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Until next time, you're here on Market Leader Live. If you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be blessed and be great.